We are back in Westeros for House of the Dragon Season 2, and tonight, well, the rats got the best of us. Let's talk about the first episode, A Son for a Son. Now, there's a lot of things I'll say about this episode and just overall with House of the Dragon, going forward, but I will say to begin with, I'm not the biggest fan of this TV show per se. I thought the characters overall, a lot of them came off as unlikable and kind of weak, in my personal opinion. In season one, I didn't like the pacing of the show. It felt very disjointed in the season one. But now that we're in the future timeline, I'm hoping some of that changes. I am wearing red tonight because, well, House. Well, I guess I should be wearing black, but the Targaryen side was able to strike back after the death of Luke in the season finale of season uh, one. This episode, there's a lot of things to like. We got some beautiful, beautiful shots of many different places here. We got the wall, we got King's Landing, Dragon Reach, got a few different areas, even high sea areas with House Viserion, and a lot to like visually. I think score wise, House of the Dragon really does a lot as well. The musical score, whether it's the theme song coming in or so much more, hits that great beat that really brings up the high HBO production value. And the acting overall, super well done, from Helena to Emma Darcy in that a powerful, powerful scene of her discovering kind of her son has died, the dragon has been killed. Um, as Rhaenyra, Matt Smith playing Damon so well. Olivia Cook does a great job as Alicent. Um, and just the acting crew all around is just so good in the show. But I do have my complaints in terms of the writing per se. And it really comes down to, again, characters not being likable. One change I had to verify from the book, and I was very happy to be right, was the Alicent and Sir Christian Cole relationship dynamic. It definitely feels like the writers of the show are making it very clear you should be Team Black, because Christian Cole has had this negative kind of connotation with the fan base, wrongfully so in my mind. I mean, he's kind of he isn't a good person, but I understand his thoughts, and I think he's more of a noble and good person than, say, Rhaenyra was, and Rhaenyra has been. People might not like that. I am kind of Team Green in regular life here, but he is. But seeing him now, just days after the death of Viserys, kind of, after, the whole situation happening, seeing them kind of having a lot, having sex and having, that type of a relationship, again, wasn't part of the books, and it feels very forced to make you hate Alicent more and even hate Sir Christian Cole more, because he didn't want to be that with Rhaenyra, but now he's being that with Alicent, so it's like, ooh, we gotta hate them, and I didn't like that writing part too much. And I just think it's in there to make you really dislike Team Green, which, as a Team Green person, I'm not a fan of that writing, because that wasn't in the books. So you're just doing that to make me mad. And that's some of my complaints. Again, a lot of these characters are just not that likable. The ones that I found to be the most likable, Rhaenys Targaryen, I loved her standing up to Damien in the beginning of the episode. Um, I do actually like Aemon Targaryen. I think he's one of the only people who I think would be a good leader out of all of this family fighting. I know he is a little bit aggressive and he has a Daemon energy to him, like we saw in last season's finale, but he is the only one having a mind for war and how to set things up and how to, be aggressive and move forward. And I was so worried this episode. I was like, he's not supposed to die here, but I was worried he might die. But happy to see that Aegon has left, his with his own son's death, not Aemon Targaryen's death. Aegon, I understood his character kind of being people pleasing a little bit more, trying to be more like Viserys, but it's a very weak, unlikable character overall. He's the leader of House Green. I'm not exactly like thrilled to even have him on our side. Again, just a very bland, unlikable character. Daemon Targaryen throughout the episode, and what ends up leading to the death of Aegon's son. Again, just unlikable, that much of a character. I'm constantly remembering him in season one being kind of like a villainy type person, killing his first wife because he didn't want to be married to her. Not really, trying to not listen and acting as if he's king when he isn't technically the king. He's married to who should be the queen. Very power hungry. I'm not exactly the biggest Daemon Targaryen fan, and I think when he heard "Get me the head of Aemond" and him doing this, I think he's going to get himself in trouble because now the war is going to come really, really fast, and I don't think either side, especially Rhaenyra's side, was looking for it to happen this fast and this on the nose. I will say Rhaenyra and Emma Darcy was great this episode in terms of the acting, her power behind her performance with the loss of her son, and just the anger and the remorse she felt, the dealing with her passing of her son was just so well played by Emma Darcy in this episode, and even Olivia Cooke in parts of the episode as Alice. I really enjoyed. Otto again is somebody I just don't like as a character. I think he's very boringly written. I don't think there's much interesting there that besides trying to manipulate people into his way. He's not as charismatic as a Littlefinger or a Ferris. And then we didn't get anything too big with anything else. I mean, we saw the Wall. We saw a little bit of Mysaria today. Got a little bit of Larys Strong. But again, so many of these characters I just don't like and I'm not rooting for per se. And if you're a fan of fast traveling, or if you're not a fan of fast traveling like in Game of Thrones, well, House of the Dragon saw Jace go from the Wall all the way down the Dragon's Reach all in one episode. So there's fast traveling going to happen in this series. And even Daemon going from Storm Reach to King's Landing, we're going to get all that, and I'm just worried for this show. I think the acting, I think the visual style, I think the score, so much of this show is made at the top of top tier, but the writing and the characters are what's lacking for me, and it's leaving me with a only gold rating for House of the Dragon Season 1, A Son for a Son. I thought one of the best things about Game of Thrones are when, twists and deaths happen. They felt very out of nowhere. You felt like, wow, I didn't think they would do that. This episode from the very beginning, the minute you see Helena talk about rats, the minute you see the emphasis on worried for her son, the minute you see the son, her the young son being brought into the small council room, and the title of this episode, A Son for a Son, you knew who's dying this episode, and I think that is where this episode was the weakest for me. It was so predictable, it was so boring in that predictability. I worry that this series is going to be, I mean, even as somebody who knows the story, it's very predictable how this is written out. And I don't know exactly if, when you look too deep, if this is really that great of a show. It's good, and the production value is amazing, but writing wise, there's a lot to love, missing here. But that's going to be my weekly update for House of the Dragon Season 1. Tell me why I'm wrong in the comments. And yeah, we'll see if the Greens come back next week with anything in particular. But until then, like and subscribe to the channel. Check out my Inside Out content. Check out my Boys content. Check out my Doctor Who content. Check out my regular movie content. And I'll be seeing you around. Think you have what it takes to be an MDC champion? Prove yourself on the battlefield and know movies and TVs better than other people? Well, join the MDC Discord down below, and that's where I'm going to be picking the next competitors for MDC moving forward. So if you like this, go ahead and join the Discord, and I'll see you there in the battlefield.